all these changes that are happening out there in the world and how we want to like get into our mindset mastery. So I'm doing a series on mindset matters, and I find myself going a little crazy here sometimes. I just got back from Spain and Greece, and I'm always like, like how can I up level? And along with that comes emotion. And along with that comes three other people in my family as I'm journeying along and experiencing. And I got to tell you, everyone, I used to close
Mm.
myself off and not share my emotions. And everybody loved me because I was just like, well, I shouldn't say that. They didn't really enjoy me because I was closed off. So they couldn't really enjoy, you know, who I was. And I couldn't enjoy myself either because I was shut off.
Of
So then
course.
I go through my journey and I start realizing, I'm feeling pretty lonely out here, just trying to close myself off, try and protect myself, whatever that meant. And so my first step 8 years ago was to stop taking my medicine. It
Mm.
had to be the first step for me. And that's why Fresh Talks Global Vision is here. That's why Jeanice Cummings and I get to hang out together. That's why we get to do what we get to do is making that first bold step. Now, I'm not telling you to get off of medicine, but for me, I was living every day in sheltering my emotions way back here. I was feeling extremely lonely. I didn't feel like I was showing up as a mama. I could be showing up better as a wife. And as a person owning a business, I was kind of hiding. I wanted to pretend. And, I was in that stage of fake it till you make it. And we still hear people say that. I go, that's hogwash. So 8 years ago, I stopped taking my medicine and I just gained weight. And I started looking at myself and I go, who are you? That was the beginning of mindset mastery. Finding out who I am, why am I gaining weight? Because it wasn't because I was on thyroid medicine and it helps my metabolism. Well, I mean, we know it does that, but it wasn't that. It was learning how to maneuver around this minutia of gunk that I was carrying. And I'm still carrying stuff because we're human. But my journey these 8 years has been around acknowledging it's very lonely out there until you start really learning to open up and you
It is.
start learning to connect with yourself. So I got real spiritual and I feel very comfortable with that. And what happened was what we're going to talk about today, but I want to focus really right now on Jeanice Cummings. But I want to share with you, and I want you to bring your journey along. This is not about me. This is not just about Jeanice, even though Jeanice is a superstar. Especially when we get into talking about her poetry. This is going to be incredible. I'm bringing some great people to you, but I want you to think about this. Where are you stuck in your story? Where have you gone on your journey? Be so proud of yourself. Be so proud. Stop cutting yourself up for the things that you feel you should be doing right now. Just give yourself a moment, which I call the fit process. Give yourself a moment to celebrate. Celebrate you. Celebrate you. So that's what we're going to do right now. So get a piece of paper or journal and a pen. I don't want you to forget your ideas and your vision that you're going to have right now, because no matter what, however you walk in on this room right now, wait till you get done. You are going to have some type of shift, some type of irritation, maybe even, because maybe something's bubbling up, because that's what we need. We need uncomfortable insecurity showing up because all of that is really good. So, Janice, welcome in,
Thank
and
you.
let's get more introduction to you. But welcome in, my friend,
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Miss
I,
Beautiful. You have been on our show maybe a couple times already, at least once. But I think a couple times we've just played with this. The reason why I keep inviting you here, Janice, is I care so much about the heart and about being authentic and not feeling like you have to be perfect, but just playing with the conversation. And you're an easy one to really connect with because I can feel what your journey is in the way of you learning to be as authentic as you can be. Can we start there we're going to get into your poetry all
Mhm.
around this mindset mastery stuff, and even if you brought a poem to share with us.
Yeah, I
But
did.
I first want to hear anything you want to add, because maybe you want to add some stuff of what I've already started, but also I want to hear your story around mindset and why mindset matters to you.
Okay. All right. Well, if with everyone's permission, I'd probably like to start how I got the lack of value in myself. Okay. Um, I grew up in a domestic violence and a toxic environment. And for those of you who know or who don't know, lots of times in those kind of environments, the children, the what's going on takes precedent over the kids. It's not like they're doing it deliberate. It just becomes a priority. So as a child, you have to find your way. And many times you have to find your way, and you have to um, build your self-esteem on your own. And when you're hearing a lot of negative things within the community as well as at home, it made it difficult for me to see the value in myself. So that's how it started for me. I was the kind of person that I wasn't my own best friend. I always put myself down. I always said nasty things about myself to myself. And I always felt inferior and comparing myself to others. Some of you may be able to relate to it, you know, and I used negative words to describe myself. And as I was going through that, I came across an article about self esteem, and I took the test and I failed miserably. So I said, that's what's missing. I don't have any self esteem. So, not having that value in myself, it took a long time. Even though I did start doing things, I started singing at school and showing my talents and this kind of thing, but it was still there. I was still dragging this bag of trauma, pain, suffering, as a child. Of course, that's how you're looking at it. And so that began my journey. That began my journey. And then through the process of that, I had a lot of grief that happened. My brother was murdered. My girlfriend was murdered. And these were all related to violence. Both, all the incidents were related to violence. So I had to go. I felt like I needed to get some therapy, and I did. And it was and during that process, I also worked as a program coordinator at a battered women's shelter. So what I had forgotten just started coming out all over the place. I couldn't even control it, but I didn't know it was that at first because I had repressed all of those memories. And by the grace of God, I got that job. And although it was painful, that began my journey with the therapy, and then me working towards transformation. And I also opened up a portal of my poetry because I had been writing poetry since I was around 11. And as a result of the process of transformation, the poems just start coming out. They just start spilling all over the place, along with my work in community services, working at the battered woman shelter, working in the jail with pregnant women, just doing infant massage. My work has been predominantly with women, the whole 30 some years, women and kids. And if they had a partner, the partner was included. But my journey, it's been a struggle. We know that whenever you go on a journey, it's going to be a struggle because you can't give up. And the word that I'm uh, resonating with today is hope. Because even as a little girl, I visualized me on an airplane with a briefcase, a businesswoman. So I did a lot of that, and I didn't even know that I was what I was doing. But I always visualized what I wanted to see in myself. And I'm going to back up a little bit. So after I went to therapy, I stopped work and I spent that whole year on me, beginning to understand me. And the poems were part of that journey. They were a huge part of that journey because all of those experiences came from that journey and my work in community services as a human services worker and social worker. That's It's a long introduction, but that's kind of how I got started.
Jeanice, I love it. There's things I didn't know. When we connected about having this conversation, you said you had a book of poems, and I was surprised. I didn't know that you had poems. I didn't know you wrote poems earlier in your stage. This is wonderful to have this conversation because we've had so many conversations, but there's so many layers. And if you're finding this in recording, I see that there's a couple people here that are attending. Ask your questions.
Mhm.
Anything about what Jeanice has, like, I want to support you, Jeanice, and like the journey that you've gone on in the way of, I could feel myself feeling the adventure you've been on. And it's been a real, like what you said, a real big journey.
It has.
With your journey and with your poetry, and I want to bring that forward today and how the mindset matters. Like that must have been just a point that helped you maybe even evolve and learn more about yourself, learn about your emotions. Like, what have you been learning through poetry?
Well, all the things that I didn't even recognize, they just started coming out. What I recognized about myself is that I am a good poet. That's number one. And the other part I recognize about myself is that I have something to give to the world. Uh, because with all those experiences as growing up and even going through adulthood and stuff, I didn't even know that that was my destiny, that those experiences, and just like they are for the people that are listening, they lead to something good. If you hang in there and you keep working at it, they lead to something good. And that's what I'm talking about when I say hope.
Yeah.
Hope is what I Hope is what got me through a lot of it. And that visualization that there was something better waiting on me.
I love this thing about visualization. That visualization that you have this briefcase and you're flying. It's just like this up level kind of a vibe, and where that's taking you. So where are you connecting now with that vision that you had your whole life? Like, what does that represent for you today, for right now?
It represents freedom, autonomy, um, choices, more varied choices. It represents transparency. I can
Hmm.
be honest about how I feel, who I am, because even when I started writing the poems, I did them under a pseudonym. I was still hiding. Zena McKean is what I published those books under. I started in 2012 and I got them published in 2014. And so
Wow.
I'm still hiding. I was still hiding. And up until this time, now I'm just really, I've been coming out, coming out. As you work, you come out more and more and more, and you begin to see all the talents and skills that you have that you didn't even pay attention to. So it has been very rewarding, although challenging.
I love hearing all the low hanging fruit, like the easy stuff to capture. We can, in the mindset, we can like feel like we're so far away from like this happiness because we all we can see is the past, or what we're grudging, begrudging ourselves and looking ahead like we don't have much to offer. And being present and hearing all the words you used when it comes to your visualization, that all connects with this mindset mastery stuff, and why it really does matter. So
Yeah.
what do you feel? You've probably gotten some reviews or some, maybe even work with clients, but
Mhm.
how are you utilizing, and this is for people who love using poetry, because I've had people splash stuff on a piece of paper and it was like a spiritual journey for somebody and the other person saw it. They're like, thank you for doing that for me. It's like a few dots or like a swirl. And they're like, I see my journey in that. So for poetry, it's not as abstract as that, but maybe it can be sometimes. So how are you playing with the poetry in the mindset area?
Well, in the mindset area, when I saw the value, you can't have a positive mindset if you don't see the value in you. It's just not going to work. It doesn't work like that. So once I started seeing the value in myself, then it became easier to capture my feelings on paper.
Yeah.
That yeah, it
And
evolved.
and then you're going deeper. Do you have a poem to share with us? Would you like to share something with us?
I'd like to share how one of the poems when I first started, and it's called Yearning for Approval. Okay. Talking way too much, sharing thoughts, talents, and ideas with others. After speaking these ideas to others, they rarely manifest into success. I have what it takes, but I keep yearning and yearning for approval, having a need to be validated by someone and told that I'm really okay. I feel never quite good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, sexy enough, or confident enough. I keep yearning and yearning for approval. Whatever gave me the idea that I was not quite good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, sexy enough, or confident enough. Ideas embedded into my consciousness, and the tapes keep playing over and over again. Greatness does reside within me, but I keep yearning and yearning for approval. Life passes by as quickly as a moving freight train, and there's no time to think negative thoughts. Time has no foreseeable ending for me or for any one of us. I do know that I do have the power to be who I'm destined and created to be. I need only believe in me and give me the approval that I have been seeking and yearning. What I am seeking for, ironically, is yearning to be set free inside of me. So
Oh boy.
that's actually that was one of the first ones that I wrote.
Okay.
Mhm.
I need to hear that today. You know how you like will pull cards or you'll pull something out of a book and say, this is what is
Yeah.
happening today? I needed to hear that today, and I bet many people did. It's the feeling that, and I want to kind of break this down, and I want to play with you on this and kind of finish off this spacer with you on in this area.
Okay.
No matter what we do, it seems like we get in our way to stop ourselves to wait for the approval to know that we're good enough, that we're smart enough, sexy enough, that we're fitting in the box, which I don't want to ever, but when I'm feeling small,
I
yeah, where
do.
do I fit in the box kind of thing. So that's where that poem took me, is like, if I could sit with that poem and just look like those words that you have of discovering yourself and saying, hey, I'm safe and there's freedom within myself. Oh, I love that. Do you have any stuff you want to add in with that poem, especially since it was one of your first ones? That's pretty incredible.
I think you did actually what I want to say, because at that point in my life, I really didn't know who exactly I was, because I was looking for relationships, people, education, everything to prove that I'm valued, that I'm somebody, that I mean somebody, that I am somebody. And I never found it because it was already in me.
It's like we can have these relationships. It can be, with a husband or wife or best friends or just like the public, because we're posting out there to really share and help others.
Yes.
And we can slow ourselves down so much when we just keep waiting. How many likes can we get? How many shares can we get? How many, like all that, like we're just waiting. All we need to do is really keep the morning work. I call it the morning work because that's what starts our day.
Yes.
And being able to be in that vibe so that we can authentically see ourselves. What
Mhm.
what do you usually do to kind of get in that mindset where you really do feel strong? You start feeling a deeper love instead of, those days where you can teeter totter back and forth. What kind of things do you do to help our community in finding their way to maybe quiet the mind, bring some heart, love towards themselves?
Well, first off is I meditate. I meditate and I do visualization uh, because it offers me hope and I won't give up because that's what we need sometimes because we have our good days and we have our bad days. And
Yeah.
basically, I'm around people that uplift me. I'm not around people that I know can't provide what I need. So I'm very selective about who I communicate with, who I hang out with. And but my attitude has always been positive, even during the hard times, because I know that a negative mindset is just not going to get you anywhere. And positivity breeds positivity. So I hang around with people that uplift me, that support me. I do my own visualization, my own meditation, and I do affirmations. And I have signs all over my house to kind of remind me because I don't want to go back. I want, because to me, the old behaviors are easier because you're more used to them. It's the new behaviors that you have to really work on constantly. And when you do get this negative thought, you got to immediately replace it with something positive that you've done. So I do that a lot. I replace the negativity with the positivity, and that helps me a lot.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Mhm.
And you may hear Oliver barking. He seems to always want to be part of something because right now he's wreaking havoc. I can hear him barking in the background. Rhonda, I'm supposed to be here.
Okay.
And I think Oliver's one of my dogs has been with me from the beginning of really getting deeper into discovering myself. And my doggy, we learned that there's spirit in everyone. And when we
Yeah.
start finding and discovering that, no matter what you touch, to a flower, to a thought, to physically looking at yourself in the mirror, like all of that
All of
comes
that.
with so much love if you're in the right place. And then there's the opposite, which can be that you didn't do that work that really helps you get out of here. Because those imprints that you're talking about, the things that you probably are consistently working through. We always have our levels of sadness and the release and understanding, about life. And so I love that we have this quiet meditation, learning how to be able to hear some phrases that stop us from really thinking positive about ourselves, but it gives us opportunity to be in the heart. Jeanice Cummings, I'm so happy that you're able to share your poetry. Is there a link, and I can share it if you don't have it right with you, if it's a real easy one? Where can they find your book at, your
Well, my
poetry?
now is being revised, because I let it sit on the shelf for 10 years. I'm just bringing it out. It was 2014. It's 2024 now. So I just let it sit. I don't know why, but at any rate, I think that was part of my transformation. I was still hiding because you
Yeah.
yourself. You really got to pay attention because it's easy to hide, especially when you got stuff going on inside. You haven't made peace with it. You don't see the value. You still working on the value is a lifetime job. Okay. It's no quick fix for that one. You know, it's continuous. It's very continuous.
I
Yes.
love it. Thank you so much, my friend. Fresh Talks Global Vision. I am here in a few more minutes. We're going to bring in Camille Walker, and she's been on our show also. But let's keep talking about this mindset matters. Let's start looking deeper into your fit with a double T, your fit goals. Where could you go with some of these strategies. I really want you to connect with Jeanice Cummings. You're going to find her on Facebook. She's there currently, just easy to find. And I want you to get her book. That was a beautiful poem. And I know there's more to come because this woman has been with us for a few times now, and she's just incredible. So, Jeanice Cummings, I appreciate you so much in your time. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Love you, and we will connect soon. And yeah, appreciate you, my friends.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm out. Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. We'll be back.